Good day, folks. So what do I have here today? I have a Rolex. So yes sirree, a Rolex. This is an old 1957 Rolex. It's a Rolex Everest. It is a Rolex Oyster Everest Precision. So the Oyster part of the brand was established back in, I believe, the early 1900s, like 1905, when Rolex came along, and the Oyster brand had to do with the fact that they were waterproof. The first waterproof wristwatches were Rolexes, and then this old baby here has to do with the Sir Edmund Hillary when he climbed Everest, and this Rolex was made in thinking of that moment in history when first person, actually the first, I guess, English person climbed Mount Everest. Now, all those local natives that were with Mr. Hillary, or Sir Hillary, had climbed Everest probably 200 times, but they never got anything written up about them. Anyway, they were probably a lot better climbers than the guys that they were giving the tour guide to. So you could say Sir Edmund Hillary toured Mount Everest with a whole whack of local tour guides. So so I don't know. It's nice how people take credit. Anyway, this watch is a Rolex Oyster Everest Precision, and the precision was just what it says. Very precise watch. It has a screw down crown, screwed out right now, and it's got a little bit of a bounce to it, spring on it. It's got the threads here for the screw down crown. It's kind of a simple looking movement. It's got the Oyster, or the Rolex Crown symbol just above the word Rolex. I'm going to zoom in a second. And it's on an old patent leather strap here. I don't think that the loom still works on this. If it does, it's not very good. And the case is kind of scratched and beat up a bit. And the case back looks like it's been hacked a number of times by people without the right tools trying to remove it. So this case back is in tough condition. So I'm going to be servicing this old Rolex, and I wound it up a bit, and it does run. If you move it a bit, it will run, as you can see. Let's just get a little close up here of this watch and see what this looks like up close. So there we go. Just in case you didn't believe me, there's the watch. I'm going to try to hold it steady here because I'm getting pretty close. The crystal on it is scratched considerably. I'm not sure if I can get some shine on the crystal to see the scratches, but it is very scratched. As you can see, it's kind of it's kind of hazy due to it being scratched, and the sides of the watch are pretty scratched up as well. See if I can focus that properly. It's got the proper Rolex crown on it there, and I'll have to look at that symbol on the crown to see what that is. But it's got the crystal's kind of it's a bubble crystal, so it's raised up crystal, or high dome crystal, I guess is what it's called. And as I've said before, the back is really hacked away. The Rolex has a very unique opener, which I have, but somebody obviously tried to open this with pliers and you name it, which is pretty sad given that it's a Rolex. So I don't know the value of this watch. I've asked a few folks online to see what the value might be, but it probably is somewhere in the order of 4,000, maybe 5,000. To a collector who might be collecting this particular Everest watch, it might be worth a whole lot more. So it's just it's the buyer, right? So the dagger hands are in good condition. The second hand is good condition. I'm not sure if the lettering is in good condition or not. It says, I can see the word Rolex, and I can see Oyster Precision, or Oyster Everest right under the Rolex symbol, and I can see the word precision on the bottom. So the dial looks a little yellowed. I don't know whether these were yellow dials or whether they're white or not. I have read online that when you're trying to get a watch like this going again, you're better off. And it stopped on me. It's moving a bit. I don't want to wind it because I'm going to have to unwind it later, or just release the power from the mainspring when I service this watch. But if you leave the scratches on the watch, I'm told that they retain much more value than if you attempt to remove the scratches, because this is stainless steel case. I think it is anyway. I'm going to have to look at and see whether this is stainless steel or if it's silver plated, but my first thought is it's stainless steel. It is from 1957, so it's an old baby. And I'm going to have a look at the movement in a few seconds to see if there's anything unique about this movement. So I'm going to try to remove the movement and continue with the video if I can, or just remove the back and have a look at the movement and continue with the video. And if I can't, well, the video will just be a short one until I can get the back removed properly. So anyway, that's the Rolex Oyster Everest Precision watch, and I'll be doing another video on this watch once I start taking it apart and repairing it or cleaning it. Okay, here I've removed the strap from the watch. Actually, I use this very small tool here with a gap in it, and I've got two of these, and these tools are normally used for, which I use for removing hands on the watch, so they're leveraged, but they also have a little groove in them on the end, and that groove is also good for removing the strap, as it's very thin on the end. So now I've got the movement set aside. I've got a very large watch removal device here. Let me just put this aside for a second and show you this beast. So this is the beast here that's used for removing watches. It's got a big swivel on the end. I'll lay this thing down maybe and show it to you. So there it is from the top, and as you go through it, it's got the swivel on the end. It's very precise, and you change these little jobby-doos. I love the term jobby-doo, by the way. Change these little jobby-doos here with the appropriate Rolex jobby-doo. This is a Rolex jobby-doo, and it's got the typical Rolex end here, which should fit around this case back. If it doesn't, I've got another problem, right? So this should actually connect with this case back like this, and then give it some grip like so as it rotates. So I'm going to install these and then put the Rolex watch inside the jaws here very carefully, and then rotate it. And the good thing here is that it's all controlled, nicely controlled. So as you put the watch inside the jaws here, I have to replace these dies so that they're the right fit. And then the appropriate die is, should look at this for a second. This is less about watches and more about removing it. So there's all the dies I have. So what I do is I pick a set of dies that fits inside here nicely. Now I'm going to place the case back in. I've selected the right dies, and I've changed the jobby-doos. I'll look at what the name of that is later. So I'm going to widen this here and be very careful. In fact, I think I'll just drop down a very small piece of material on the bottom here in case for some reason that my hands slip, because I don't want this to mar anything. So I need to kind of center that as I put it in, and this is a screw system that tightens it on both sides. So I just have to do this, be very careful with it, and level it off, and then tighten that like so. And you don't want to tighten it to the point where you're going to warp the case, although it is a pretty tough stainless steel case, but you never know, it's old. Also watching out for these lugs here, a little bit concerned with these. And then and I'll look at the how these are separated here. Here's this side jobby-do here. I use the word jobby-do a lot, I think. So go down on it like this, and then I need to tighten this here to see if I can get any grip. I know I've got to spool this up to the top, like so. And again, I don't want this, if I'm unsuccessful right away with this, I'm going to adjust the height. I'm going to relieve it and then see if I can use another technique. So, because this is the back has been pretty marred by whoever tried doing this a million times. I just want to make sure the grooves there in the case back openers are grabbing. Lower it a bit. So, like that. And make sure I've got a grip on it. Now I know if I go grip too hard on this that it's going to push the watch down. So I don't want that to happen. Plus I really don't want to grip this too much, right? Like I said before, because there's a chance of this causing additional problem that I don't currently have with this. So I'll just tighten this a bit and waiting for those little grooves to catch. I'm going to go to plan B because I do not want to ruin the knurls that are already there. So I'll loosen that up and loosen the dies up a bit. I can widen the dies now and catch the watch as it comes down. There we go, and that's what you call a failure. And get this out of the way. Not a complete failure, nothing went wrong, I just was hoping this would loosen it up, and it didn't, so go to plan B. So yeah, well, there's no problem there. It's just these things have been, I look at the side here, and they've been just beaten to crap by somebody. It looks like someone took a pair of pliers and tried to loosen it with a pair of pliers, which is pretty sad. So anyway, this device usually works. There's no reason why it shouldn't, but I'm going to go to plan B and see what I can do here. And which is, I think, using a ball, if I can do that. So I've tried my Oyster case back opener, and it also can't grab those little knurls on there because they're pretty worn out. So I'm going to try using a rubber ball and try that technique and keep working on it. Alright, the adventure continued, and I figured this is the only way I'm going to open it is using this crazy device here that I have. So, and I turned it around so I could get the knurls where there's more material, and I just didn't want you to see me trying to struggle here, so I just did this, and guess what? It's loose. So that's all I wanted was loose, and that should do. So I'm going to undo this, like untighten this, and get that watch out of there, and then use the ball to get it the rest of the way, because I did loosen it, which is great. These little claws of death. I was really afraid of putting too much pressure on the case. That was my major concern with doing this. I did not want to damage the case, as it's an original, and somebody had, hopefully it's not the other watchmaker, had used a set of pliers on this thing. It's like, oh my god. Just grab this carefully and get it out of the way, and then grab that. So lots of leftover crap here. There we go. So I can reposition my camera to open this up, have a look at the. Okay, now that I've got it undone, I can use this ball just basically grab the back and slowly turn it like this. I think I've got it loose enough now. And a nice long fingernail here for getting under pocket watch cases, so in case you're curious. And then I gotta very carefully lift this up. And once again, my neat little guitar fingernails are pretty handy for this stuff, this kind of work. And there we go. There is the Rolex Movement. Look at that little baby. Oh my God. That is going to take some bit of work. I'm going to zoom in on this and we'll have a look at this. You'll also notice the beautiful Bergeron 5395-75 movement holder, which is meant, it's gel filled, so it is really good for not damaging the movement when I start working on it. I'm looking at the condition of the case right now, and it's pretty gummed up and messy. So here's the movement. It says, let me just move it a little bit because I think I can get it going. It says a Rolex Smade 17 jewels. That's about it. So I'll have to get a movement identifier and have a look and see what type. It says precision as well, so I'll see what type movement this is. As you can see, the case is dirty. It's hurting bad. I'll have to clean all of that up, and then I'll go about making another video completely on the disassembly of this Rolex and its servicing, so the owner can see that. Let me just get this moving again. It's kind of neat. So the good thing is the balance is moving, which is nice, which means the pivots are probably good. It is going to be a tricky one to work on, so we'll see what happens, and I'll make, again, like I said, I'll make a video to work on that. As well, I'll take a picture of this and get some advice on what type movement this is by the various people on watchrepairtalk.com. Mark and Nice Joe and some old hippie and some other guys will completely understand what this movement is. It doesn't look like it's very complex, but it's going to require a lot of 10 or 11 care to make sure that things like the hairspring are not fouled and other things. So I'm going to be working on this with the least shaky hands I can possibly attain that day. So thanks for watching this video, and be prepared. The biggest challenge here that I showed you all the stuff I had to do was getting that case back open, and it's because there's some hack in the past wasn't using the proper die to open the case back, and they used it looked like a pair of pliers to get the back open, which is pretty sad. But anyway, we'll get this thing stripped down and cleaned and reassembled and see how this old baby runs. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Someday I may be giving away free watches, who knows.